Good morning, everyone. I'm Leah Dixon from Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. I'm here live with my regular Wednesday morning Facebook Live, and this week we have another card class to go. I love summertime because it gives me all the freedom to do these every week instead of just once a month. So this is what I call my coffee and cards class. This is something that I started doing online last month. It's 4 completely different cards using completely different stamp sets. Usually this is the same card class as I've done in person. And so these are 4 cards that I've created with people. Oh, good morning, Keisha. Thanks for joining. So we're going to dive right in. I'm going to get started. I'll show you our first card, which is made with the Jar of Joy. So I hope you guys enjoy. You can watch along. And then the PDF for this card class is available in my shop. The link's in the description. Or if you'd like the full card kit, then you can place a $60 order with me and you'll get the card kit in the mail. So let's desktop. There we go. All right. So our first card is our Jar of Joy card. I'll actually just bring the card itself into the view so you guys can see. So this was based off of a fun little sketch challenge that I had seen. And so I created this, and this is one of my favorite new online exclusives. This whole stamp set is just amazing. I am going to show you something though. In our card here, we have a dark lid, and that is because I actually took the lid from this Sweet Jar stamp set and put it on the Jar of Joy stuff. The jars are actually the same punch out, but the actual images are a little bit different. There's a little bit of a different finishing on the 2 jars and then a different finishing on the 2 lids. I prefer the jar from Jar of Joy and the lid from Sweet Jar. So just a fun way that you can kind of mix and match them. They work together exactly the same way. If you wanted to, you can even stamp this guy and then stamp a different color on the inside with this guy, and that works as well. All right, I'm going to put these off to the side so we have some space to craft. And I'm going to pull out all of the stuff that comes in our kit. So to start, we are actually just going to take our piece of designer series paper and glue this straight down to our card front. This is a piece of paper from the Regal Distressed. I've got a glue stick beside me that has no glue in it. That's no good. There we go. It's from the Regal Distressed Patterns. I think that's what it's called. And I've used them quite a bit, actually. Oh my, I have no glue that's working. What is going on? I've been busy crafting, and apparently I've blown through my glue. Let me just go grab a new bottle. All right, here we go. Glue that works. There we go. All right, so I always like to use the broad end. I put a little bobble of glue on the end, and then I drag it along. That way we don't get thick lines of glue on our card. All right, so when I glue this, I'm going to glue it with just a little border. There we go. And then I'm going to take this real red panel and glue it down as well. Now I have embossed it with the Jolly Holly embossing folder. And so you can do a few of these at once, and then you've got them all ready to go. Okay. And when I glue this one down, again, I'm leaving an equal border on 3 sides. So these 3 borders are going to be the same. So that's kind of how I lined up my 2 papers, is I kept an equal border here and then an equal border on the other side. Now we're going to do some stamping before we glue our next bit. Our next bit will be to glue this right in the center, but we're going to want our words on it first. So we are going to grab our sentiment. It says, "Wishing you the sweetest Christmas." We're going to stamp it right up at the top. we're going to take our Secrecy ink. Now you've got the spot where we put the color label in. The other edge is a very tight edge, so you can actually see the ink pad around the edge of the plastic. So I can actually come in and ink up my words, just the wishing you the in Secrecy. And then I can do the same thing with my real red for the words Sweetest Christmas. There we go. So now that we've got all those words inked, I can go ahead and stamp this in the center at the top of my, I've just lost the words, arch. This is one of our everyday arches. So we've got our sentiment stamped on there. Now we can actually go ahead and glue this piece to our card front. And I'm going to glue it as centered as I can onto our card front. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. All right. Feels a little bit strange making Christmas cards today because it's another hot day here. We've been getting up into the 30s every day. All right, now our next bit of stamping, there we go. So in your kit, you'll have this little piece of basic white cardstock. We are going to go ahead and stamp our jar and lid on here in Secrecy. Now, the little trick I want to show you, which one of these has it? There we go. Is I always take my jar builder punch or any punch that has multiple images on it, and I punch it out of just a piece of plain white paper. I do write this side up, so like which side was facing up when I did the punching, like when I went in like that. So this side up, because that's the side that we would have stamped on. Once I've done that, you can actually take your stamped images and lay them down inside these openings and then put your block down to lift up the stamps, and then they're going to be perfectly lined up with your punch. Okay. Now on this piece of paper, it is a rectangle. I am going to stamp on it the short way for height so that I have a little side piece to hold on to. Okay, you never want to cut your paper exactly the size you want it, because then you have to fiddle around with getting it in place. So I'm going to stamp this to the side and on the short side. There we go. So that's our jar and lid in Secrecy. And now we're going to stamp the insides of this. I always like to stamp the dark version first. So that's the one where you can actually see our little gingerbread man's smile. So full strength pecan pie. And we're going to come in here and line them up with the edges of the jar. There we go. And then we've got the one where it's just kind of like random bits, sort of in the shape of a gingerbread man. We are going to find his bow tie. That's always what helps me line him up. But I'm going to stamp him off first and then come in, line up his bow tie and his dots, and do our second generation stamping. There we go. And now I always find that he looks just a tad bit plain. So I like to take something red. Today I'm going to use dark real red Stampin' Blends. And I like to color his buttons. And I like to color the heart as well. And so to color the heart, I actually just do 2 straight lines down from either side. And then if it needs to be rounded out, I can round it out. So I just colored in the 2 hearts, his 2 buttons. If you wanted to, you could also do the 2 centers of the cookies beside him. But I'm just going to keep it with those 4 little elements on a little diagonal. I think that is plenty. All right. So with that done, we can now punch this out. And so come in here, line it all up. There we go. All right. So we've got our jar put together. I'm now going to take the lid of my jar and put it on top, just like hold it in place. And then with it held in place, I'm going to flip it over backwards and grab some dimensionals. And I'm just kind of like stitching it together. So just like that's on the back, like a piece of tape holding that lid in place. And then I'll put 2 more dimensionals down at the bottom. And I'm going to attach this to my card. Now, for those of you who are thinking, wait, you had a bow on there. Yeah, I did. I find it way easier to tie my bow once this jar is on my card, because then there's some weight to hold the lid together, because I'm just tying this string around the lid. And so if I'm trying to do that and all I've got to work with is that tiny flimsy lid and it's like lifting up and moving around, it's so challenging for me. So I like to attach it to the card, and then I can tie it around and make a knot. And then once I've got my knot done, then I can tie my bow. And the weight of the card just helps and keeps everything in place. I have a band-aid on my finger right now, and it is making tying bows very challenging. Okay. There. Beautiful. And once I have my bow in place, then I can grab my snips, trim up the ends if I need to. It's just a little bit frayed. There we go. And the last thing we're going to do on this card is add some peppermint dots. Love these things. So I am using 3, using the largest and the smallest down at the bottom, and a medium up a little bit higher. And that is our first card. Oh, Keisha, you're so funny. You know what? Tying bows live is way harder than tying them when I'm alone in my craft room. I don't know. They're perfect every time when I'm alone, and I always struggle on the camera. Yeah, so that is our first card from today's card class to go. It's a really sweet one. I love this set so much. All right, put that to the side. Clear these inks off my desk, and we'll grab our next card. Oh, I should probably move those stamps off to the side too. Otherwise, we're going to get very crowded here. All right. So our next card is a birthday card. We're just going to totally switch up gears. I do have one more Christmas card, but we're going to switch up gears. This is using the Not 29 Anymore stamp set. I love this one. It's unfortunately very real, especially let's get this party started so I can be home by 9. Great stamp set though, so much fun. And then I just grabbed the little candle image from Choose Happy. You could really use a candle image from any stamp set you have. I just needed something there. All right, so that's what we're using in terms of stamps. So let's bring those into the picture. Here we go. Oh, that's a bad glare. I'll move that. Sorry. Our little candle and our ink. Now, why am I not finding? Oh, there they are, hiding way at the back. Like, I know I have pieces pre-cut. What's going on? All right. So here are our pre-cut pieces. And I love the designer series paper on this card. This is actually from the most unlikely of places. It is from the Turtley Cute designer series paper. So when I first saw the turtles, I'm like, not my thing. But I've come to realize that that paper has turtles on one side, but the other side is stripes and polka dots and musical notes and beautiful patterns that I would totally use on every card. So I ended up having to grab myself a pack because those polka dots were too cute to pass up. All right, so we're going to start actually by gluing our DSP onto the top and bottom of one of our basic white panels. You can use whatever adhesive you like. I am not great at lining things up, so I am using liquid glue. That way, when it doesn't line up, I can wiggle it and make it go where I want it. Like right there. There we go. All right. So when I do this, I can see it's not quite the right length. It means either I cut my DSP wrong or I cut my basic white layer wrong, but that's okay. It's the reason we're doing this first, is so then we can trim it up. So because it's short on this end, I'm going to make sure I line it up with this corner so that if it's short on the other end as well, then I can just trim one side, which it is. So I'm guessing my card base is probably the wrong size. All right, so we've got that little bit there. I'm just going to go use my paper trimmer and trim it. It doesn't matter what size this ultimately is because it's just going on the front, and so just needs a nice little border. So let's see. It was supposed to be 5 1/4 and it was not, so now it is. All right. So we've got those in place. Next thing I'm going to do is stamp my 2 sentiments. So you can change this up and make it say so many different things. I've used happy birthday, so many candles. And so we grab our balmy blue ink, or whatever color you like, really. So many colors would go with this DSP, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so happy birthday, top left. And let's put that off to the side. So many candles. We'll go bottom right. There we go. All right. And we're done with our balmy blue ink now. Now, the next thing we have to do is stamp our candles. You could draw a line across here. I am actually going to use my ribbon and my grid. There we go. And oh, I guess I should have opened my ink first. Okay, so some basic gray ink. I'm just eyeballing this, like, where do I want it? That's looking really good to me. So you could tape this down if you wanted. I'm just going to hold it in place. And I'm going to start with my center candle. There we go. And now I'm actually going to move that down just a tiny bit. All right. And then we're just going to stamp candles across this. And if they're not all exactly the same height, that's totally fine because we're going to be putting this ribbon across. And so we're going to be able to hide the bottoms of the candles and it'll all be fine. Okay. So yeah, use a pencil line, use a ribbon, use your eyes, whatever you want to do. So now we don't want to tie this just yet, but I'll just show you. We're going to be able to hide the bottoms of all of those candles with our ribbon. So if you didn't get them perfectly straight, that's going to be just fine. But before we do that, we're going to give them a little color. So you can color these however you want. I've done them where I did like every color, like a striped version. So I used all the colors on every candle. I've done striped like red, pink, blue on that sample. You can do these however you would like. I am going to use Light Darling Duckling for my candle flames. There we go. And then I think we're going to do all of our candles multi-striped on this one. So I'm going to do, it'll be like red, white, blue, white, red, white, blue, white, pink, white, red. Okay, so all my candles are going to have just a tiny bit of red on them at the top and the bottom. I also did one where I rotated through so they didn't all have the red, pink, and blue in the same spots. It's really up to you how you want to do these. But the red is pretty bold, so I'm glad it's going to be the smallest color on these candles, because that was light real red, so it's pretty dark. And then we're going to do a dark balmy blue stripe. So I am leaving a white space between each of the reds. So red, white, blue. And then that was light balmy blue, or dark balmy blue. And then we've got light flirty flamingo. And so we're going to leave another white space before we do our pink stripe. And then our candles are done. There we go. So super fun. Love these little guys. So now we're going to come in here and tie our twine. So I actually forgot to check to see if this is still available. I think it was on the last chance list. This is the silver and gold trim combo. And I love it. Such good stuff. Okay. So we put that across our card front, and then we tie our bow. Now I'm tying my bow to the left so that it's out of the way of the sentiment. I don't want it to cover up my so many candles. There we go. So you just fiddle with this until it's the size and shape that you want it to be. Okay, I'm happy with that. And now we trim up our ends. There we go. And we glue this to our card front. So you could use dimensionals if you wanted to. I did not. I just used liquid glue and glued this straight down to a smoky slate card base. And so just center it on there. Ooh. There we go. And you can write on a smoky slate card base, but I like to have the white layer on the inside. And you can have some fun with this white layer. I'm not going to because I don't know who I'm giving this card to. But you could use some of the other sentiments from the stamp set on the inside. So there's some great ones. Older but still cool, older but not wiser. My personal favorite is the treat yourself because I didn't get you anything. So lots of fun sentiments that we can stamp on the inside of our card as well. Or here's to another year of questionable decisions. So when I go to give this one away, I will decide what sentiment to put in there. And then to finish this one up, I used the very old school, just rhinestone basic jewels. So I don't use these a ton anymore. Used to be my absolute go-to embellishment. There it is. So I have this one lonesome one that I'm going to pull off and use so that I can get rid of that extra paper. And use one of them down here. And then we'll use a slightly larger one. There we go. So you actually get 3 different sizes on here, a whole bunch of small ones, some medium and some large. So that is what we're going to do. And I love them because they're just a little bit silver while giving a nice little shine. So really, really a nice look there. All right, so that is our second card from this week's card class to go. Put that to the side. All right, now our next card uses, this is a design that you can use like with any DSP, any colors, and just really have some fun with it. This card is Encircled with Love. Oh, I know, I love the rhinestones. Oh, good morning, Kim. Oh, you're never late. You can always watch the replay. Glad to have you here. So this is let's get the glare off of there. Encircled with Love. They're all perfect with the 1 7/8 inch punch that we have. And so I love that you can just stamp these and punch them out, and that these two give us that embossed look without embossing. So that's the stamp set that I'm using for this card. And I've got the thank you and Misty Moonlight ink, just because that's my background color is Misty Moonlight, and I've paired it up with, I always forget the name of this one, Florals in Bloom 12 by 12 designer series paper. But you could honestly put this with any DSP and it's going to work. All right, so put that to the side. Oh, I don't need the basic gray. Pull out our bits here. And so I have gone ahead and out of our cloud cover mat for our DSP, I've gone ahead and cut, I believe this is a 2-inch circle. Yeah, I've gone and cut a 2-inch circle out of our mat because it's going to get buried underneath all of that. Nobody's going to see that you've cut that out. So that's for our sentiment to get matted onto. We're going to do our stamping first, which is our thank you here. So when you ink this one up, you want to just really make sure that you've got it fully inked. So stop and look at it, and you can see there is really not very fully inked. So you want to just keep inking it and lifting it and inking it and lifting it until when you look at it, you can see that it is truly fully inked. This one's really important to get a full impression of. But you also don't want to use an ink pad that's overly juicy because it will take away the definition of that sentiment. So you want to have your ink pad a little bit drier. If your ink pad's too juicy, use your bone folder to smush some of it off to the side because you want that really nice clear impression. Now, I am also going to stamp on the inside of my card. I've got the little flower here that says sorry underneath. I thought it matched the flowers on our DSP. I just thought it looked so cute. So we're going to ink this up, but without the word sorry. So we're going to have our little flower on the inside of our card as well. All right. So just like that. You could do that on your envelope as well if you wanted. Okie dokie. So now that that's done, we can start kind of putting this together. So we're going to take our 1 7/8 inch circle punch here. And that leaves a beautiful white border on this. And then we'll be able to layer this onto our cloud cover circle, our 2-inch cloud cover circle, and it's going to be just perfect. Okay, so let's get some glue. And we're going to glue this to our cloud cover. I love it. All right. Now we'll take our insert here, glue this inside our card. There we go. Just like that. And for our card front, you could emboss this if you wanted or stamp something, but I thought the DSP was quite busy, so I wanted to keep it really simple. So because we have a big hole out of the middle, I'm going to make sure to keep my glue just to the outside edges so that I don't get sticky fingers, because we will be wrapping a piece of ribbon around this. So I don't want sticky fingers while I'm doing that. All right, so I've glued that DSP down. Now I'm going to get another piece of DSP, and it's just the little cloud cover stripes. You could also do like an embossed piece of cardstock for this or whatever. There we go. So put that on like that. Okay, mine's a little bit short, but that's okay because our circle's going to go there. Now, before we glue this down, we're going to take our ribbon. I have a piece of white 1/4 inch ribbon. This is my favorite ribbon. It is so soft and easy to use. And we're going to tie a knot off to the left and then make a bow. So I always start with a knot. And then make my bunny ears. Wrap them around. And make this the size I want it. There we go. Now I definitely have to trim this one. I've got a totally frayed end. Okay, so got my snips. Trim that up. Right. Make it a little bit smaller even. There we go. All right, now that we've got that done, we can glue this to our card front. And again, I am just gluing it. I'm not popping it up. You could pop this up with dimensionals, no problem. Just make sure to put one in the center so we don't get a saggy middle. And glue that down. Now, the reason I didn't pop mine up is because I didn't want to have to fiddle with where to put my dimensionals on my circle. Now I can just put a dimensional at the top and a dimensional at the bottom so that it straddles this ribbon. Oh, you're starting the bunny ears, Kim. You know what? It takes a little bit to learn, but it is so easy. Like, not easy, but like you're always successful. The bows always turn out if you use bunny ears. So even though it's a little bit more challenging to learn, once you've got it, it's success every time, which I love. All right. And that is our third card. No embellishments or anything even, because it's really busy DSP. I was worried they'd just get lost anyways. So that is our third card for today's card class to go. And our final card is a Christmas card, and it's actually one that you've seen probably. If you follow me, you've seen this on my blog. I've posted about this one, but I didn't actually do a video or anything and show you how I made it. I just posted it as one of my Festive Friday posts. So I thought I'd show you how I made it. So here we go. It is this beautiful, pretty peacock, Jolly Holly Christmas card. I absolutely love this card. I think I'll be making a lot of it. It looks super duper fancy, but it's actually really pretty simple to make. All right, so there's a bit of technique to it, so I'm going to show you that. And so let's get the easy stuff out of the way. We've got our sentiment that we've got to stamp on here. So we're going to stamp our sentiment using Pretty Peacock ink and kind of centered on this rectangle. So this sentiment comes in the Jolly Holly stamp set. And so we just go ahead and stamp that. So pretty quick and easy there. We will need our Pretty Peacock ink one more time, but I'm going to show you. So this stamp set is beautiful. It has sentiments. I love the font. And what I love is when they put little images with our sentiments. I love having a tiny image just to do something with it. But then it has the dies. So the rectangle that I just stamped on was a die from in here with the stitching. We can cut out the word joy. We can cut out the little images. And we have the Jolly Holly embossing folder, which I used on our first card with the Jar of Joy. And it's a hybrid folder. So that what that means is we can actually put this die inside and cut out at the same time as embossing. Now this one's a little bit different than other hybrid folders in that it doesn't fully cut out the images. It leaves them so that they are partially attached still, but can be popped up and lots of dimension given to the card. Okay, so they're all popped up on the side there. Oh, I'm so glad, Kim. That's awesome. So I'm going to show you how this works. We're going to take our embossing folder. We're going to take our die. It always takes me a second to figure out which way this is going to go in here. There we go. Okay. So the side that has the Stampin' Up on it, you're going to put the blade up on that side, and it's going to kind of like lock in place. With it locked in place, I'm going to take a piece of Pretty Peacock cardstock, and I am going to lay that down over top, and I think I'm going to actually center mine for this. All right. So we've got that centered. We're going to close this folder, and I'm going to go run it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I run it through with the specialty plate, and it's going to emboss and cut this. So I'll be right back. Just going to go do that quickly. So you want your base plate, your embossing folder, your specialty plate, and roll. All right, sorry. My big machine is a bit heavy, so I just leave it over on the side of my room. I don't bring it over here with me. All right, so we've rolled that through. Now I am going to have a few pieces that are going to want to fall out on me, so we're just going to have to make sure we collect them. Oh, there we go. All right, so put away our folder. Peel this off, but we don't want to lose those two little bits. So, okay, good, it stayed. All right, now I'm going to kind of just piece it back into place. And I am going to get a scrap paper here because I'm going to make a little bit of a mess now with my blending brush and some white craft ink. So where did that go? There we go. So I've got my embossed piece here with all of its little cutouts, and I am going to grab this is really old, but we have the same pads still. So you ink this up with your white craft ink. And with it inked up, not too heavily, we're going to come in here and drag. So I'm like not even really pushing down. I am just dragging across, totally straight. Just dragging my white ink pad across this. And so it's just catching all the things that are raised. Okay, so just like that. And it just makes those leaves pop a little bit. So that is how we do that part. Now we're going to take this piece and attach it to our card base. And so the way I did that is, don't worry about this little guy who keeps falling out. He's going to stay in place. I flipped it over to the side I did not ink. And you can use full-size dimensionals or mini dimensionals, your choice. And so that one that keeps falling out, I'm going to put a dimensional on it. And then I put dimensionals on all the leaves that were big enough to hold a dimensional. So not all the leaves, but all the ones that are big enough to have a dimensional on them. So it's a lot of dimensionals. But it's kind of important because it's what's going to get your card to keep its shape even when you mail it. Okay. So that one there on the edge. And I'm not putting any dimensionals where there's not a leaf. We're actually going to be gluing that part of the card straight down. I don't want it to raise up at all. Okay. Oops, and I missed that one. There we go. All right, so it is a ton of dimensionals. Oh, hi, Evelyn. Oh, school started. Oh, my goodness. We don't start till next week. So thanks so much for joining and watch the replay. I hope you enjoy it. And I hope your back to school is going well. All right, so I've got a ton of dimensionals on here. Now, before I go ahead and put this down on my card front, I am going to come in. You could use liquid glue or you could use some kind of dry adhesive, whatever you prefer. But along the edges, where you don't have leaves, especially your corners, I am putting liquid glue. Okay, I want it to stick down where my leaves aren't popping up. All right, there we go. So now that I've got that on there, I'm not too worried about getting it down like right away. The glue can get a little bit tacky. That's perfectly fine. Because our dimensionals will hold, our dimensionals will hold it in place. I just need those edges to not be popping up. Right, so a ton of backings to pull off here. This is why you might want to use minis, not big ones. The big ones are a little bit of overkill, but that's okay. These are leftovers from a paper pumpkin, so. All right. All right, so with that done, we're now going to center this on our card front. Okay. I'm going to take my little one that keeps falling out and peel off his backing and put him in place. There we go. And then I'm going to go around my leaves where I put all that glue, and I'm going to let my leaves pop up and my glue hold the rest of this stuff down. There we go. All right. So now, I don't know if you guys can see it as well in on the screen, but my card is really 3D now. Those leaves just really popped out, and it's just got a lot of dimension to it. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's a lot of work getting organized for back to school, for sure. I was just in my classroom yesterday, and I think I got everything done. So now I'm just waiting for Tuesday, when there will be bodies in the room. All right, so now I'm putting dimensionals on the back of my sentiment, and we're going to put this onto the center of our card. Okay. And now we have our holly accent to create. So I'm going to show you how I did that. We're going to keep our scrap paper again. So I did the same thing as I did with our pretty peacock piece, but I did it with basic white. So I ran the embossing folder and die cut together through the machine. And what that did is it gave me all these little pieces of holly. So I chose one with 4 leaves. And I can just come in with my paper snips and complete the cut, because it's just tiny little spots where they just didn't cut all the way through that are holding those pieces of holly together on our card front. Now I'm going to come in and cut a little bit deeper between the leaves, because they kept it on the outside where it was like a good spot to hold it all together, so it didn't pop off the card and it wasn't too delicate. So I'm going to come in and make it more delicate. So I just cut a little bit deeper into all 4 of those little holes. Okay, so now the trick to coloring our holly is to be able to get our holly centers red and then not turn them brown or whatever when we go add our green for our leaves. So I am going to use light cherry cobbler to color my berries. Doesn't take a lot, because these are alcohol blends. It kind of just swoops down the berry when you color the top of it. So I colored that in light cherry cobbler. And now whether you choose to use a Q-tip or a blender brush or whatever, we are going to apply some Versamark to these berries. So I've actually got a Versamark pen, but this is the same effect is achieved by using a blender pen and some Versamark ink, or using a Q-tip and some Versamark ink. So I just applied some Versamark, and then I'm going to take some clear embossing powder and put that on there. And we're going to heat emboss that clear powder so that the color on our leaves, or the color on our berries, doesn't go away. What I like about this is that it also creates like a little bit of a gloss. So here we go. All right. So now we have some glossy berries on there, and we're going to bring back our scrap paper again. We're going to get a blending brush and our pretty peacock ink. And we are going to blend some pretty peacock ink onto these leaves. So you can do these as dark or as light as you'd like. You don't have to worry about avoiding your berries, because we've embossed them with the clear powder. Even if we get some ink on there, what we can do when we're done is just grab a tissue of some kind and come in and wipe away any ink that got onto those berries. Okay, now my berries do look a little bit faded. I think I put a little bit too much Versamark on, and it kind of took away some color from the top. So I'm just going to come back in on top of my clear embossing powder with my cherry cobbler again, just to darken those up again. All right, so that is how we make that embellishment. So now we're going to pop this on. I am going to use more dimensionals, but I'm going to stop and look to see where I want my dimensionals. So I want them on this leaf and this leaf. And then I'm going to do just a little dab of glue on that one. There we go. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and place that onto our card front. And then the finishing touch to this one is just some clear strawberry slush and pretty in pink gems. So this pack comes with strawberry slush, pretty in pink, but then also some clear gems. And so this is a great way to use the clear gems in our pink pack. If you don't have these, then what are they called? Iridescent foil gems are nice as well. I just like the variety and size of these ones. So that's what we're going to be doing. So that is our 4th card completed. Oh, just don't want to go back in their package. There we go. That's our 4th card completed for today's card class to go. So like I said, the PDF for these 4 cards with all the measurements and everything is available in my tutorial shop, or you'll get the PDF and the card kit to go with these with a $60 order. So these are our 4 cards that we created today. So I hope you like that. Oh, you thought you didn't need it, Evelyn. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you so much. Yeah, these are really fun cards. And I just thought it's that time of year where we have to start making some Christmas cards. But I don't want to fully give up on happy birthdays and thank yous, because I still need a lot of those as well. So thank you so much. The blue on blue is stunning. Oh, I'm so glad you liked that, Keisha. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. I am going to be enjoying our sunshine, spending some time in the garden and the pool today, and fully enjoying the last few days of summer vacation. I can't believe school starts next week. So have a great week, everyone. I will be live next week on September 3rd. For my September card class to go. But in the meantime, this one's available. And oh, thank you, Evelyn. Hugs to you too. And have a great startup. And yeah, everybody who's heading back to school, parents who are sending their kids back, or teachers who are going back, have a wonderful last week of summer or first week of school if you're already started. And yeah, September's going to be great. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.